there are some unquestionables though, like that. I think when in talking with other people from different churches, like things that they've come across, that I'd be like, yo, I'd be out on the spot. Like if there's some heresy, like legit heresy going on, I'd walk right out. If there's like some immoral stuff, like, you know what I mean?
Like we're covering up something. Like, no, thank you.
Right. Like I'm not a part of that, man. Like I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, and thank God I haven't been a part of any of that. Like that's never happened, but it's like, you know, there are some like things that I'm just like, nah, this is not. And the things that I had to work through, like, or we talked about earlier, is more of just like the methods, like decision making and things that I felt like, I would have done this a little different, you know? And I was one of those guys who like was a disservice because I didn't really speak up, you know, a lot. And I did, but I kind of was like, and I was just growing. I was young, you know? I finally made that choice when I left, but now looking back at it, like, if I were to go back and work with church, I would be a total different dentist. Like you would still have the same dentist, like where we're having fun, we're having a great time, right? But I'd definitely be a little bit more like open, like vocal, right? And would be more transparent and honest with people about how I'm feeling in the moment or what's going on. Because as you were saying as well, Koby, like we do them a disservice if we don't, you know, speak up like that. So, and
we all started so young, it seems like. So, like you're saying, new Christian is like that fire of even our senior pastor has said he thinks the first year is like when God gives you the most vision for your life as a Christian, and it's like we just have that initial fire. So they hire us young, and then we're like, is this normal, or is this, am I doing something wrong, or is this, I don't know. But I was saying there is definitely. I was saying that we want to feel trusted, and then I said there's definitely seasons where they hold things close to their chest,
right?
But it's probably not because of us. It's probably because they're not sure yet either, and they're also trusting God. But I think what I crave is clarity, because, like you said, and like the older I get, the more I understand. Like I even said it in the office a few days ago. Like it doesn't matter if I agree with what he just said or whatever. Like. That like he's my pastor, you know, like I we shouldn't be like judging against ourselves and stuff. We're supposed to follow them, be wise about it, but follow them, you know. So it doesn't matter in the sense of it doesn't change what I'm going to do for God. It doesn't change how I'm going to serve the house. So if we had clarity, I guess I'm saying if we had clarity, we would know what to do. Like, you know, like we would, like, it doesn't matter what we want to do, but just tell us what you want us to do. And if you can't articulate that, then it's going to be a lot of back and forth and a lot of issues, because I want to know, like I said about patterns, I want to know if I can trust, like it shouldn't matter. Okay, let me say it again. The trust is enabled by the consistency and the patterns, you know. If they're consistent and they know, like, and they're able to articulate, then when they deny an idea of ours or reject it, we know it's not because they're just not listening. We know it's because they know they have a vision, and we know that it's not consistent with that vision. So like that's just what I crave, is like consistency and clarity.
Yeah, and clarity comes with consistent communication,
and that builds confidence.
More it happens in more seasons and less in other seasons.
Yeah.
Random thought, sorry, but I just realized Dennis was complaining about the heat, but he's the only person in here with a hoodie on.
That's weird.
So that's weird. Yes, consistency. That is good. Consistency brings more clarity. So, yeah. So any thoughts, Taylor,
on that? No, I was just thinking about just like a different challenge, like to just the reality of working there at a church, is that there are people that, I mean, I'll speak for myself, but people that I got that I was close friends to that were also on staff that were working there. Yeah. Even before I got hired on, that I kind of like grew up in the faith with. There's people that are confronted while on the job with like various things that challenge them in their faith, and then, I mean, I've seen people just completely like fall off, you know, like just fall out of the faith, not just out of the job, but like out of the faith. Yeah. And that, like, it'd be like stupid to not acknowledge that that's fact sometimes of working at a church, that there's like things that you can confront, like theological wise. I don't know the adjective for that. Theologically.
Yeah.
That you'll be confronted with minutia, I think, at times too, that people get too hung up over. Yeah.
What's minutia?
Like,
again, my lack of vocabulary comes into play, Koby.
Like small details.
Okay.
That are, I don't know, like you kind of lose sight of the main point.
Got
of
it.
Of what being a Christ follower is, and then you can get hung up on it, and then completely fall out. Like that'll be the stumbling stone to your entire walk.
As if that discrepancy is like somehow discredits everything else.
Got it.
Or like I disagree on this, so therefore everything else that you said is false also.
Got it.
Which is not the case, Doesn't have to be the case.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Getting a call, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I know we should have.
Take this.
Oh, you gotta take it.
Go ahead.
Gotta take a call?
Go ahead.
Oh, are we gonna pause?
Keep going.
They keep going?
Yeah.
All right, well, hey.
Taylor's taking the call. We're rolling with
We're
the
on
dog.
the Rickcast.
Would you like to phone a friend?
Yeah. This is the first time ever. I'm just going to keep rolling with it, dude.
We gotta keep rolling.
We just got to keep rolling.
Keep rolling, Rick.
The other thing is, I just want to give credit to for the church giving me a place to learn and grow, because honestly, I learned from some of the greatest, I think, designers, folks in creative media. I mean, it's incredible, like the things that I was able to learn and then apply in my next season. So, as much as there was challenges, man, there was a lot of also like great like moments and things that I got from being in there. I don't necessarily want to keep getting on the challenges, although I think we should talk about them. But I think if we're just painting like a really good picture, I think we can all look back and think about something that we've learned that we can apply to maybe something else somewhere else. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. Yeah. Just when similar to Taylor, when I started volunteering in the youth as I was deciding if I wanted to be a Christian or not. And so just the fact that, and it was also like early in my like desire to learn and get my hands on like cinematography and filmmaking in general. And like, especially for large churches, the resource that you just suddenly have access to just try things on is incredible. I learned almost everything, like just playing around at youth on like the big old broadcast cameras or like, oh my gosh, this person just got the T2i DSLR revolution begin. Like, wow, it looks like a movie. So that's definitely a huge blessing. And then just the people, it's almost like low key, the cream of the crop people in their field, but they're just doing it for God. And like, we all know, we all know the awesome leader that we had, just letting us feel out early Christianity, for me at least. Yeah,
definitely, man. And
yes, sir. I'll continue that with, shout out to Gian. Gian taught me a lot when I first came on. I think I was using some whack program before. Like I came into the office, I was using, I don't even remember what the program was called. Was it called
something like that?
I think it might have been Affinity. That might have been it. And then he's like, he rebuked him. I'm like, it's the same thing as Photoshop. It really wasn't. It was pretty good though. It was pretty good for the price range. But he basically said throw that away and let's get you on Photoshop and Lightroom and everything else. That's Adobe. So I was able to learn pretty much the whole Adobe suite. Koby taught me a little bit of motion graphics. And Gian even helped me out with a little bit with motion graphics. And Taylor's coming back in here. Shout out to Taylor. But it has definitely been a place for me to learn. It's also a place where there is a lot of access to pastors. You get to be in close contact with pastors and form relationships with them and get some spiritual mentorship like we were talking about earlier, which is a really nice thing because these guys are busy. These guys are, doing counseling appointments every day. You do, on the phone with people every day, making drives to doctors, to hospitals every day, praying for people. So it's nice to be able to talk to these guys and really get their spiritual perspective on a lot of things and ask them even biblical questions that you may not know the answer to or struggling and wrestling with.
Yeah, definitely. And we're so blessed. I mean, to be in that environment, right, where we had access to those resources. You know, we have family members who go to other churches, like in different states, and they're a lot smaller, right? And so they're working with very little, you know what I mean? And so I learned from them too. Like, I look at them and just their heart to continue to serve, you know, and support the ministry despite all the challenges that they have. I mean, they're people like us too, you know, and they just are working with very little at their church. And I think there's something to be said about that. And like for me to learn from them and apply that to where we were at, you know. So I also think we're very fortunate, man. But you know, when I look back at it, guys, honestly, like I would go back to the church. I would work at a church again. Like, I don't know. And I'm sure it might be different from all you guys. And
all right. You guys heard that? We're going to go get Dennis.
No, the thing is,
I got him.
Because ultimately, you guys know me, man. Like, I just love people. Like, that's what I love to do. I love to laugh. I love to be around. Your church. You remember that? I can't believe you. Your church.
Your church.
What is that?
A random video.
No, this video I made, I went, your church.
Your home. I was like something like that. Your home.
Your
church. Your kiki.
Oh, man.
Nah, I mean, you know, and that's just my heart, man. And so, I mean, now I know where God wants me to be. It's where my current job. I just got a new job. I'm working as a marketing director. I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
But even though I left the church, ministry never left me. You're like, I still love on people, man. Like, and that's just what they know me for. I mean, one of the coolest things that my VP told me at my last job was like, you know, we're going to miss you because of how you create culture. And like, that touched my heart because that made me realize like, I'm not here just to be creative. I'm not here to just set up strategy and to get projects done. Like, we're all here to create some sort of culture, like in that space. Right. So I feel like God did call me out to be in like outside of the church and to love on some folks, man. Yeah. So,
man, your VP was on point with that because the culture you created in the media office is still there today.
Come on.
It's crazy. I don't get how it lasted that long, but
I know,
dude, that was all of us, bro. We said this earlier. We had the greatest team.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that I wish, and I'm being honest, I wish we got the Moore brothers with us, bro.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. I wish they were a part of our team.
They are now.
They are now. But could you imagine if we had them? I mean, oh, bro.
Super team.
They would have been a super team, man. But they were in youth. That's when it was split, right? It was youth.
Yeah, that definitely, like, we just got a tour of a small church that is just starting, and there was like one staff person, remember, and the other 3 people were volunteers, and they were like pretty much full-time employees. But there was volunteers, and every little thing we're like, oh yeah, and that's where we keep that. They were like, oh my goodness, like that's amazing. We're like, oh yeah, like we are really blessed, even though it's like when we're just in our head, it's like we just think of what we don't have, but we have so much, and whether that's tangible or not. Like you were touching on earlier, the intangible fringe benefits of working at a church and free food.
Man.
I wanted to ask, mainly directed at Dennis and Taylor. I could touch on it a little bit, but like spiritual health compared to working at a church to not working at a church now. For me, I actually left the church that I currently work at for about 6 months. And during that 6 months, that's probably the worst my spiritual health has been since walking with Christ. So that's just summary where I'm at and I was at. But it's really good right now. But I'm curious to know, you guys, like, was there a roller coaster or was it like better, worse now? What do you guys have to say about that?
I don't know, man. I mean, I could tell you that like it was more. So the church that we're working at is a non-denominational, very much Pentecostal at its roots, right?
Yeah.
And I became Reformed. Part of it had to do with the school I was going to, right? I was going to Moody.
Yeah.
So I became
Moody
super Reformed.
Moody.
And I think like I was just feeling super like Calvinist, and I was going through all of that stuff. It was like a phase, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Typical.
But like typical, right? You know, go to Bible college. That's what happens, right?
Actually, Calvinism.
Randall didn't help either. Having him around, I'm just kidding. He did help. He was an incredible help, actually. But I mean, in terms of like just being in God's word and stuff like that, like it's a part of my lifestyle. So like I was in it then, I'm still in it now. I do feel what you're saying though, like having the access to like some pastors, like you're just working on certain things and they're around, like you're able to, you know, I think that's been helpful. But I think it's could be harder, honestly, working in a church. Just for me personally, some people would say it's easier outside, but in a church, it's much harder. I think, because you see everything, right? And like, you forget sometimes that people are people, and like, you're like, what's going on? Like, why is this person acting this way towards me? And what did I do? And you know, and you really got to be in your word, man. You got to be prayed up inside of church. So I feel like sometimes it could be harder, man. Like,
that's literally not for everyone.
It's not, yeah.
True.
You know,
Politicos too.
I think.
Oh yeah, everywhere.
For real. I think for me, working at a church does give me like a sense of accountability, and at this point, I don't even have to think about it anymore. It's just like, you can't be acting wild and working at a church, because people are going to start asking you questions and all this other stuff. So maybe that has a lot to do with the reason why my spiritual health was down during that time.
Yeah, I think for me it was I think what Dennis said resonates a lot with me. It's like it's a little bit easier not working at a church. Like it was more complex as far as like my walk. I kind of got lazy while working at the church, like with like just the.
Like, I'm good. I work at a church. I'm good.
Yeah, it was like that kind of mindset.
Yeah,
there's a lot of spiritual practices and just being in the environment kind of like lends itself to like you could be lazy. You know, it's not like you're going to be, but like I'm around it all the time. You know,
right.
So it was like
become numb, not as sensitive to the spirit.
I feel like that definitely was something that affected me while I was working at the church, and then just the bubble of being like always surrounded by Christians. And
that's
like,
tough.
Yeah, the bubble.
Just like that environment. I mean, I loved it. Don't get me wrong, but it definitely like kind of made me more like felt like not as relatable to just normal people. I don't know, like even just family members that don't go to church whatsoever. Like I felt like sometimes an outsider. You know, not like completely, but like maybe it was more like in my head. But like I feel like the way that I related to people was a little off.
And to be fair, it was other people as well. Like, or at least for me, like someone will say like a minor curse word and be like, "Oh, sorry" to me because I work at a church. I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah, it's like, come on, it's fine. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like so for me, and then since it's been like I would say. That COVID period was like very much a roller coaster.
Yeah,
like just not being in church really, like, and then kind of just going through that whole, you know, year and then some change of like navigating through that. But then, and then I allowed that to be kind of like an excuse to like get lazier in my going and then attending and then spiritual practices, praying and all that. Like, and then. To where I kind of, I had like a dip and questioned a lot. It was like a period of time where I felt like a lot of friends had fallen and then from the faith. And then I had some serious questions. I went through probably like a half a year of just like trying to figure it out. Yeah. And then, I don't know. I don't want to call it deconstruction because I feel like that's so...
Such a trendy.
It's like trendy, it's closer to disillusionment to me.
Yeah, because it wasn't like I didn't believe. It wasn't that. It was just like
when you became reformed because of all this sudden new secret knowledge.
Yeah.
It was more like I was trying to figure out how it fit into my my lifestyle at the time, and it was like the wrong approach completely because it's like how does it fit with me and how does it fit with like where I'm at now, my life as a dad, as a husband.
But just as dangerous is the default position of, okay, this is what all the Christians around me are like. So as long as I'm like this, it's fine. And you know, like I can focus on these things and just say the right things and I'll be okay, which is just as bad as being on your own, you know, if you're not being held accountable, like you were touching on, Nick.
Yeah. I mean, I in working at a church and then leaving, and then what I explained earlier about having like these different convictions, right? Of like becoming reformed because I went to a reformed Bible college. Like I'm not reformed anymore, but just like it was a part of my spiritual formation. So like, right. So I became like this whole, like started questioning things, right? Because I was raised in that environment, like the non-denominational Pentecostal movement, like that's just been my bread and butter and like what I grew up on. Then you mentioned it earlier, Koby, like you find like the secret knowledge, you're like, whoa, like, and you start gravitating towards that. But now where I'm at, it's like, it's more well-rounded because like, I appreciate the reformers because of their love for the text and scripture and like preaching like within context and, you know, like those kinds of things. Like it's great. And I think all preachers should preach in context, but in general, like going to the whole Pentecostal thing, I love them too. Like we need to talk about the Spirit. We need to talk about like this joy that we have in Christ. And, you know, the two have to like, you know, come together, like where we're preaching well from the text, but we're also not devoided from the Spirit and the spiritual gifts. And so that's kind of where I'm at today. But all that is credit to like working through the church. Like, could I really say that like working through the church and having to go to Bible school, like would I be in this place right now spiritually? I don't know. I don't think so. I think God used that as a part of a means to form me into who I am today, which is, I feel is more well-rounded, but someone who is certainly still learning and needs and has tons of growth to do. So
It's good.
yeah. Can I sing a song?
Go ahead.
Chewing on a piece of grass, walking down the road.
Tell me
How long you gonna stay here, yo? Hey, you know, this is the thing. Like when we were together, we just sang to each other, but that's scriptural, right?
And then we just get back
greeting
to
each
work.
other with spiritual songs or something like that. That's what it says in the scriptures.
Oh yeah.
That's
with
what
the
we
holy
have to do.
kiss.
The Holy
And
Kiss.
a holy kiss,
That's
right?
what Randall likes the best.
That's what Randall likes.
Yeah.
We just never actually looked it up. It's not actually in there.
Yeah, Randall just wrote it.
Randall just made it up.
He made it up.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Anyways, any last thoughts?
Last thoughts. I want to ask you something, Rick.
Go ahead.
So how do you feel right now being in your position? Like you have an interesting story because you started like, you know, you were working in the church and you took 6 months off and then now you're back.
Yeah.
Like, has that helped your formation, your growth? And where does that like?
It's given me a lot of perspective
Yeah.
because when I took that 6 months off, I'm like, all right, I need to get back into church. Maybe it's not the church I was at. Maybe it's a different one. So I started checking out different churches, and I know the church that I'm at right now has problems. I think every church does,
Yeah.
but I feel like we're way better off than a lot of other churches.
Oh yeah.
So checking out other churches and like seeing like, all right, this is kind of weird. There's some weird stuff going on. The way that, I won't say anything, but yeah, they're just kind of weird. So getting that perspective definitely helped. Also getting the perspective that my life is better at this church rather than without it, that helped a lot. So I'll never forget that and forever be grateful for what the church that I'm at has done for me with that. So just overall, like that experience has given me perspective and a newfound gratefulness for everything that the church that I'm at has done for me.
It's good, man.
Yeah.
And I think something I have to remind myself of daily is, and it's really hard to accept, but it's the reality that the church is a family.
Yeah.
Like we're a family,
Yeah.
and we're not always going to agree on things. We're going to disagree. Those things are going to happen, right? There's some people that you may not talk to in a season, right? And you may have to work through some things later on, like it's just a part of it. But I am so grateful for the family that I have here because you all have really helped me. Everything that I've gone through, you know, losing my sister, you know, like 6-7 weeks ago, like each and every one of you reached out, like, you know, how you doing? And was really here to support me. And so, I think I'm trying to have more and more grace, and I think it's there and it's happening, but obviously the grace comes from God, but it comes from the fellowship and the community of the church that allows me to be that way with others. So I'm grateful for that. And I thank you guys, man.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It's good.
Yeah, it's like the church isn't so fragile that these little petty issues are going to blow us away, you know, and it's not going to challenge my faith. And then even just like we've even joked about, just to your point of like, we actually do have a pretty darn good church.
Yeah.
We've joked about like you go to another church for whatever reason and you're like, dang, our church really has some solid teaching. Whenever you go to another church.
Yeah.
This is like, all right, this is kind of just like patty cake up on stage right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
one
go
of the
there.
churches I checked out was just like, yeah, I could tell you guys are all about the hype.
Yeah.
Like get really high on
Yeah.
on the message, but like what are you doing throughout the rest of the week?
I mean, And think about it. You got a LAFC man, you got a Galaxy man, and we love each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Only the church.
They can
Only,
go
only in Jesus.
Yeah.
You should we should hold hands. You should go LAFC. I'll go LA Galaxy. Only in Jesus. No, I'm just kidding. But like that would be like a metaphor, right? Like
That's a
in a way.
metaphor right there.
And this hat right here too. Like that is amazing. I want that hat.
Discrimination.
No, I'm just-
Yeah.
That
Where'd you
is
buy
a
that
hard
from,
hat.
Kobe?
Only
Wild
Jesus
Fable
loves it.
section of Target.
You got a Wild Oats?
Dang, Kobe just got canceled.
Why?
Target.
Just kidding.
Oh, he called it
I
Wild.
love Target.
No. Just because all this stuff is going on
I
with Target.
love Target.
Yeah.
Hey,
Heretical.
Kobe, that is a sick hat though. How much did that hat
Me and
cost?
Jess take turns, or like we both wear it.
How
Oh,
does
it's
it-
unisex.
How does it make you feel?
It is now. What?
The hat.
It's pretty good.
No, but how does it make you feel?
Oh,
Like he's chewing on a piece of grass.
Like a Magoo?
it reminds me of festivals because I wear it to festivals.
Mm.
Are you a festival man?
Music festival, yeah.
You are.
I am.
Heck yeah.
It's me and Jess's love language.
That's right. Oh man, that's so cool. Kobe, that is a sick hat though.
Lights.
What is it? Festival of what?
Of lights.
Festival of light.
is a festival of light.
Kobe is a festival man. Yeah, Kobe.
Start singing that.
We're gonna start, he's going, he knows we're going there.
For all you guys that were seriously listening to this podcast, you can go ahead and tune off now. But we're just gonna sit here and sing some songs for a little bit.
Let's go.
Go ahead.
Doo doo doo.
Do, do,
Doo doo doo.
do, do.
Doo doo doo.
Yeah.
Highway Blues.
You guys know where that's from?
Oh, you don't know that song?
So this is
That's
a cool
a
story,
Miles?
real quick. So, hey,
That's not Miles?
It's Windows XP sample music.
yes, it's called Highway Blues. And why did I say it one day like?
And I was like, oh, Highway Blues.
And he knew the song.
And he was like, you know this? Boom, 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 like walking bass. He's like, ah!
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yo, like who listens to it? It's a sample song on Windows.
Can't
course
forget
would.
Beethoven Symphony. What was it, number 2? I
Yep.
think?
But I used to always play it on my old job just to like mess with this guy next to me. And his name was Daniel. And I used to say, hey, I'm going to play some Daniel Blues. And I would turn on Highway Blues. And he'd be like, man, turn that off. It's trash. And he would get so pissed. But I saw Kobe. And one man's trash, it's another man's treasure.
Hey,
And
what's
that was
that?
Kobe's.
What's
that
that?
hat.
What's that one song that you would always play? It's like your friend or something. It's like a YouTube video. I don't actually know if it's
yeah,
your
what is
friend.
that?
Turn off the television and I
Is it
put
that
on
one?
my shoes.
That guy was legendary, bro.
What is that? How does it go?
Is that the one you're thinking of?
That guy was legendary, bro.
Oh, wait, no. Everyone. What is that one?
Everyone.
That's
I think
how
that's
it
the
started.
same
His
song.
room.
Everyone
It's the same song, yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
in this room.
He's like, turn off the television.
Oh, while we have you guys here,
Yo.
This message sponsored.
Oh, yeah.
check out Taylor's book. It's a poetry book, Ramblings of an Introvert. Something you don't have to. You could read it all in a day. It's that simple. But I like to go through this like every once in a while and just flip through a random page, and it's actually pretty relatable. So
Get sad.
Where can you buy it?
get sad. Get sad. You can buy it on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description of this podcast actually, to make it easy for you guys to find. Or you can just search Ramblings of an Introvert, Taylor Collins, and it'll pop up.
Yep.
Taylor,
Thanks, Rick.
I took that picture on the back.
That's cool. That's a good picture.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
sir.
Rick.
Looks like an introvert to me.
And since we have 68 seconds left, I'm going to go ahead and advertise my own
That's good
product.
math.
It's called rookieschess.com.
Rookies.
And you know what? I'm only doing this because I'm on Rick's podcast, and this is a good friend of mine. And thank you, Rick. Woo!
There it is right there.
Rookies, ROOKYS,
Grab the
chess.com.
merch.
So grab the merch. Let's build a chess community. Come on, let's have some fun. That's what it's about.
chess.
Community
I know some
chess.
people that
Like a Monopoly.
play chess that watch this. David Pambib likes to play chess.
The Moors love chess.
The Moors love chess. The Ray loves chess.
Who's Joel Home?
And Andy
not
Rivera.
him.
I don't know if he
who that
listens to
is.
this, but anyways.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I didn't say anybody's name.
All right.
Just laugh.
Let's just wrap it up
Somebody bleeped
there.
out.
Thank you guys
Taylor's
for watching.
actually gonna freestyle
Stay
something.
tuned to the
from
next
his
one.
new book.
We do have the part 2 of the Should Guys and Girls Be Friends coming up. Probably not dropping until next month, but I know a lot of people have been asking about that. So stay tuned for that. We got it scheduled, and we'll be recording at the end of July.
Guys
Peace.
and Girls, part
Peace.
2.
They should.
Guys and girls.
Guys
Yeah.
and Dolls.